everywhere I go on the planet, I try to find a local river and build river art with the stones along the shores or the stones that are already in the water. One, alter the shape and visual, and then also the audio and the sound of the water, and it's always been an instinct of mine. So I've done it all through Central America and Africa and the United States, and I then leave it and it gets washed away with the next storm, and I come back, and if I live close to the river, I go back and find that it's completely changed, and I then craft a new and special sound design.
Do you have to have a sensitivity of sound? Like, is this possible for pretty much everybody to hear, or is it people that are just highly audible?
Yeah, you're
auditory
waterfalls. So like right now you hear this.
Yeah.
So this sound is right here. So.
Oh, because you're directing it over there.
So right here, that's that sound right there. So just by doing this, I'm changing the sound of the whole area here. Of like.
That's really awesome.
So now it's just a different waterfall, and based on the flow of the river, it'll be based on if the water's flowing over the rocks. And you always use smaller rocks to fill in the back end, and then it becomes more of a dam, and then creates more waterfalls. You can either create, barriers or waterfalls. So now that caused all this to be a faster run, which will change the sound of that.
And so it looks like you're building a wall across all of it, except for the far end, or am I missing something?
Yeah, actually, I don't even look at that.
Okay.
As in, currently, sometimes I'll step back and then look and see.
You just follow your intuition?
Calls to do, but like right now, this just happened to do that, and I went over here to change that sound based on you asking me about the sound.
Okay.
So I wasn't doing that at first. I was doing this. So it's going kind of with whatever's occurring, and then just seeing what it leads to. So
cool.
Yeah, definitely it's a no plan.
Got it.
Thing. I think that's what I enjoy about it, because my life and work is planning and scheduling and.
Sure.
But then it turns into an absolute design, and it becomes, sometimes it is very methodically, curved circles that all look the same, or it can look completely different. Sometimes the rocks are far away from the shore, so you're carrying rocks all the way from up there down, and sometimes they're in the water, and sometimes they're right on the shore. But to me, it is it's cleaning, because I love, one of my terms is I organize in order to catalyze. So to me, I'm organizing the rocks in the river to think. So it always helps my mind process. As I move rocks around, I always feel that I'm, navigating things, although I'm not consciously trying to figure out how to do something.
Got a little party over here.
Yeah, a number of my birthday parties have been rock art building, river rock art building parties. Meet me at the river and send a ping. And whoever comes, and finds me with a hammock set up and building rock art.
You know, what's a trip is that just this week I was talking to Jewel, and this beautiful river created an analogy for me. We were actually at Crystal Bridges, and the river runs through the museum. No way. Which you're gonna love, dude. And she sang this song to the woman who created Crystal Bridges. Wow. And I'm gonna play that song for you when we're in the museum.
Okay.
And so it talks about, it's called My Father's Daughter. And figuratively, it just explains how, you know, his river runs through her veins like holy water.
Wow.
And they're not the exact words, but that's what I got out of it.
Yeah.
And so this river analogy came to me, and you know, this week there were times when I was on my plan. Really just because I was excited about this insane movie.
Yeah.
And as you know, last night, you know, we were excited about the plan. But the truth is, I was paddling and fighting it to an extent against the tide, rather than just surrendering to the current. And when I'm at my best, I'm flowing with the current of whatever that moment requires. And it's amazing how, you know, that current takes you. It's much better than where I would have swam, yet ironically with less effort.
Right.
Not that it won't bump into a rock here and there, but when you get through it and look back, you realize that rock shaped you.
Yeah.
And it becomes the soundtrack to your life. And more importantly, you know, it's got a meaning that maybe in the moment you don't understand.
Beautiful.
But in hindsight, it's a masterpiece. So anyway, it literally, my day, today and every day, is always discerning the current.
Yes.
And I just quietly ask myself, like, where's the current leading me?
Yeah.
And frankly, I was supposed to leave.
Right.
And look at where the current has led me right now. Oh man, road trip. Literally in the middle of the river. There's no better way, literally, to end this week.
Yeah.
Here in this beautiful.
I feel the same. I did not know this was here.
Insane.
And I wasn't even planning on walking down here. And it kept on leading. I mean, we said bye 3 times. at a restaurant for breakfast, and then over there. They're like, see ya.
Later, dude.
And then something else stopped me. But yeah, it's amazing. Yeah, it's interesting when you know you're doing it, and when you know it's just happening to you. You know.
Yep. You know, last night I had a similar experience. And I always do whenever I have to speak to an audience. I get this thought that it's irresponsible not to be well prepared. So I always do the same dance where I'll prepare talking points.
Right.
But then I'll, crumble it up, throw it away to leave room for the current.
Right.
And I found that literally my preparations too often just clog the river that could otherwise flow through me if I was, just more open and trusting of the current in that moment. But it's tough, Yeah. And when Jewel came on and performed, and no question, she was flowing with the river.
Yes.
That beautiful water that sprung out of her soul.
Yeah.
Literally fed me. I was actually in the middle of doing the talking points, editing them, and I put my phone in my pocket. And then I felt like I was sitting under Niagara Falls. I mean, it just poured out of her.
Wow.
And my soul smirked, and I never took my phone out of my pocket again.
Wow.
And I literally was sitting on the stage having no idea of what I was going to say.
Right.
But I just literally, because this river analogy has been a big deal this week, I literally was just like picturing just flow through me. Like empty me, so I don't obstruct it.
That's amazing.
And actually what's cool, like you, I don't plan it, I don't even see what I'm doing totally, but I look at the end.
Yeah.
I was just talking to Jewel and saying, I thanked her. Because she was the one who washed away, because she had the trust and confidence to do the same. It washed away any fear I had of not being prepared.
Wow.
And so I was like, look, I'm sending you this video. The truth is, I want to see the video because it flowed through me. And when that happens, I'm receiving the water as well. It's like, it drenches my soul.
Yeah.
And it's cool because I'm going to watch it. Because I don't really fully remember everything I said, and I'm gonna send it to her because it was like two rivers. It's almost like what you're doing here. What she did sent more water my way, and I just rode that canoe, dude, right onto the stage, and anyway, it's funny because every time I do that, I'm reminded more and more to trust the current.
Wow.
Yet, then I get ahead of it. Like last night. And it's funny, when I saw your still wisdom, and now I'm getting to a little reason where part of it comes from, dude. As we get to know each other.
Well, and that's, I think, there's both and, like right now, I'm completely being a part of controlling the current. I'm controlling things, right? I'm controlling where this water's going. I'm directing it, the flow, all of it. But it's different than if I'm trying to stop it all.
Yeah.
And my emotion attached to, I don't want this water to go down. But I am directing every which way it goes and putting more here and less here. And I've made all of this deeper water. I've made pools where it's this deep, and I've made water this deep before. by just piling up big boulders and like bringing that in. Like I could fill the water up from there to here and make water this deep right here.
And then create a jacuzzi.
Huh? Completely.
Now,
Yeah,
do you
bathing pool, because you start piling in the moss and the leaves to back in the cracks and the mud, and then there's a wall, however high I can go, you know, from there to there, you can block this, you know.
Now, do you?
There's a waterfall going. You know?
Do you plan it?
No. Yeah,
So
it's like
it's ironic because you just in the moment you flow with the river, but so therefore the river really is the one who's redefining itself through you. The river's using you as a tool.
We're together. We're like I am one with nature, and you know that's what's always interesting about removing humans, their impact. Sometimes it's, you know, I think it's too far done where we almost remove ourselves from, like, you know, people are sometimes removed as one of the parts of the connection to nature.
Yeah.
You know, when
in this spirit of preservation, it can go too far.
yes, yeah.
Because
But-
we are part of that nature.
But there is, you know, there is a value and a need for it.
Just at least let my man in your river. You know what I
Like
mean?
Right now, this was all dry, you know, and so you're creating, you're
Life.
creating, yeah. You know, my brother lives in Spain, and there's like their well on their land is completely orchestrated by the river that flows down the whole mountain. And he was telling me the other day that, and he just moved there, so he's learning about this. And so the way they fill their well is at certain days of the week when the water's running stronger, all the way up the entire mountain is diversions, and that like for these 2 days you divert the river to go to fill your well, and then your neighbor has it from, you know, midnight on this day to midnight on this day, and the water, and it doesn't run by your property because it's being rerouted to fill that person's well in their land, which they use for their growing of food. So that's cool. I hadn't known of that before.
Dude, where is this in Spain?
Orgiva, Orgiva. It's up in the mountains, about 40 miles from where your wife is from.
Madrid or Malaga?
Malaga, north of Malaga.
Bro.
I know. He
When
lives
you
in
go,
22
listen.
acres on a fig, olive, and almond farm that he bought with his friend, with his girlfriend.
And is he a river boy? Like, by the way, not just yourself, but I'm on the team.
100 times more. He lives barefoot off the land in a 200-year-old house that's like dug into the hillside. He makes didgeridoos out of trees and plays wood instruments, and he lives off the land, like often, you know, no electricity, no nothing, like just lives in the middle of the woods. And he's a hippie child. His name is River. But his other name is Raven, but he's also Eagle Eye. But his given name is Brandon. But Brandon David. But he's an amazing wood craftsman, and you know, lives
Dude.
in the wilderness. It's beautiful.
River party.
Yeah, and he's a dreamer, right? He has 4 dreams a night, remembers them all, writes them all down. And I'm a major character in his dreams. Me, my sister, and my dad are major characters in his dreams.
Dude, how has Alejandro and Eduardo not connected us sooner?
I know. It's so
What
funny.
is? But I
And
guess
that we just haven't crossed paths. You
the
know?
truth is, I think
Been there. And,
it's self-explanatory because the way we have come together,
yeah.
frankly,
Yeah. it's the best way.
I don't even need to answer the question.
Yeah.
I think
That's exactly what I believe. I believe, like, you know, it had to go this way. I mean, there's a reason that this wasn't, you know, passed to you through them like it was meant to be. I know it's gonna fill up over here,
Okay.
but I don't like. necessarily stack rocks there. Sometimes I'll pre-stack, but right now I want to get to where that's blocked and let it overflow there, just to hear that sound change.
Interesting. So you'll block the other,
Block
so
where
that
the water is going, yeah.
And then, next thing you know,
once it moves, to the left and right. And also clear.
So that middle area that, you know, you're gonna give that little guy a little gift of a waterfall right there.
Yeah, and then I'll leave that there for a while,
I love to be like any type of little river creature and just chill under that thing.
Under the water flow.
Under the waterfall. Something about waterfalls, man.
There is.
Gosh.
I think I need to check this 7th phone call.
Cool. So right now that is an interesting decision, right?
Yeah.
Because what I found is that when you are in the current, I don't know, there's a force that wants you just to surrender to the current and be in the moment and just trust your instinct to know what you should or shouldn't do.
Yeah.
But for whatever reason, once I, at least, am about to surrender to that water slide, aka current, there's a distraction. Phone's ringing, some urgent thing that for whatever reason doesn't want me flowing in the river.
Yeah.
So then there's the discernment, like, it's not like, oh, the 8th call. That's when you gotta go to say, is it in the current in this moment to get that call? And so, what's your call on that?
Yeah, so it's interesting. So that, my ringtone is by my favorite composer named Alexander Desplat. And it's from a film that I don't know too well, but it was the nicest piece of music that he had as a ringtone that I enjoyed. And so interestingly, I'll hear it often, like the last few times I've heard it as music. And
Me too.
His composing and his score. And then at a certain time, I heard it as a ring to get, which is why at that moment I said, I'm going to check on that. And I am in the middle of about to board an airplane, final closeout with my director leaving the film festival before I head off, and split off for 3 days, so just to wrap up together before we head out. So
Yeah.
I'm definitely knowing that I'm being willing to not, wait there and not go and do an activity that I love and just be moved by that. So include it in my life and still be able to handle my life. Because if you don't, it's causing that prayer time. It's like, I can, blast this day, and this is a form of, prayer for me and connection. So it can blast through and be like, oh, I don't have time for that. Like when we walked past and I saw the river, it's like, oh, we're doing something else, but it was, no, we're not. We're walking to, and then there's a river and we're talking about it and it feels right, and so that's what I feel about that.
Brilliant. Love it.
Yeah. So there's a concern that I should get to urgent care right away because I realized I have malaria. Just coming back from Kenya a couple days ago. So I feel okay, but Catherine's concerned that there's a tipping point, and then once you cross that, it's like a lot harder to come back and recover from malaria, to where like the parasite maximizes that tipping point. So I don't know. So they're saying I should go to urgent care to get the shot and start the medication instead of waiting until 9 a.m. tomorrow morning. I don't know. What do you think?
Bentonville's beautiful, dude. So what you're really asking me is, should you spend a little bit more time near this river, right? Well, I'll extend your room. Dude, enjoy this. This is, you know what's funny? When you see that museum, that'll answer, because you're going to realize you can't digest it all.
Yeah, but
and being a river,
urgent care.
Yeah, you're going to go to urgent care.
And then come back.
Yeah, you have tomorrow, right? But let me ask you, more importantly, what do you think?
I feel okay, health-wise. I definitely feel under the weather. I feel like there was a point at which I admitted that I have malaria, that it wasn't food poisoning. There was a point at which, okay, this is different. But I feel that the last 2 days, 3 days, I've felt this, and I feel like I'm in that same place and would wake up tomorrow and be fine to go. That's my real analysis. And I've had the experience a number of times of people feeling more, higher concern, and then saying it's okay, and then going and it being okay. But it also gives her comfort, and so in order to give that comfort, sometimes I sacrifice.
Well, you know what's beautiful, dude? Speaking of just going with the current of the river,
Yeah.
I wasn't moved to answer.
Yeah.
And figured it would be the same answer anyway. And guess what? It was. So in the end,
always danger barefoot in the river.
Ooh, let me see that. Yeah, you don't want that.
Yeah, you find these often, so you do want to consciously watch your steps.
But you know what I love about it? It's true in the ocean. The glass, it can be really sharp and hurt you. Like our weaknesses, they can really make us hurtful to ourselves and others. When they bask in the current of the river, they get smooth.
Yeah.
And it becomes beautiful.
Safe.
So, I'll tell you, dude, first of all, the reason I said why didn't Alejandro introduce us earlier is just because I was so psyched to have met you. And I remember when I was a kindergartner, I came home from school and I'm like, Mom, I met a best friend. And, back then, you had one best friend, right? Or that was almost like, oh, no, you're best friend because I'm that guy's best friend. But these days, I love having a lot of best friends. Just meeting people that our rivers has converged and we know it's not an accident. We don't know if it'll last forever, if it's for a reason or a season or for life. Who knows? But it's so awesome. It's like an oasis in life, and we're not perfect and others aren't perfect. There's things that happen that are unfair. Like my daughter asked me when I was putting her to bed, hey, do you ever have people that don't know you but they hate you anyway? Even when you try to be nice, they still hate you? I was like, gosh, when I was 7, I don't remember, to be honest, but when I was 10, I had these group of kids just decide that they were all at once not going to be my friend for a year. But it made me more compassionate and sensitive to not leave people out. Because while they were always doing this or that, I was never included, and it was embarrassing. What am I going to tell my mom? I have no friends. Who do I tell that to? Right? But I look back now and I have such a deep desire to include people. That's why when people say, can I come on the plane? I'm like, yeah, everybody come. Right? But now, it's beautiful to meet a best friend. Because you realize somehow you're going to be used. Your currents have collided. Yeah. And then just like what you built right here, when you bring two currents together, it can create a waterfall of love that can really feed the souls of others and make, hopefully, things better. Right?
Yeah.
And more important than even things are people. So, dude, I could not think of a freaking way to end. I don't even like the word use end, but I mean end. It's kind of silly, but to, roll. And I would hang with you. But for the current takes me elsewhere to be with my little peeps. Yeah. Which was what was sick about today. I wake up, even though we had this plane scheduled, all with good intention. To go do good things. This current flows through me and says, you got to get home with your wife and kids. Trying to save the world and blah, blah, but you got to go home. And I, of course, had a thought. Like, ooh, got to honor your word. All these other people are on the plane. And I then open my WhatsApp and see your message. Because the current told you the same. And in there you said, let's be patient. And that's all the current asks. It's always on time. The river knows. I get ahead of the river. That's my issue. And so, but it just feels so good to be in the current. Right in the eye of it. Like my hands behind my back. And there are my peeps. And literally it's time to go. And how did they know? There they are. My woman in the mirror.
We're making river art.
You're making river art?
Yes, you see my design with rocks?
Oh, you did that?
Yeah.
You little beaver, you.
That was not fair. I've never been called a beaver, and I like it. Yeah, I do it all around the world.
Nice.
I like to build in rivers.
So Saida,
Yo.
man, have you been gifted with some sick healing talent?
Mm-hmm.
And friends.
Oh yeah. You want to pour a little water on some people around here?
What does that mean exactly?
I think he means burst out in song. That's what I heard him say.
I'm starting with the man in the mirror.
Uh-huh.
I'm asking him to change his way. No message.
Get a little water real quick here.
Hello.
Hello. This is her favorite watering spot. Come on, Charlie.
Do you want to make the world a better place? To take a look at yourself and then make a change.
Come on, water.
I'm starting with that man in the mirror. I'm asking him to change his ways. With no message, I've been and it will
Look at the reflection in the mirror. The man in the mirror.
Come on, brother. You know what I mean? Thank you, brother.
Thank you, brother.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
When I'm overwhelmed with joy, I cry. It's like the current flows through my soul, up through my heart, and streams down my face. You know, with these new glasses, I haven't figured out what to do with the tears on my glasses. But they're beautiful. 'Cause you know what I mean? You're looking at the world through these things, and all of a sudden there's this little tear.
I could see you as a guy that wears something like this. It has a jar right here, and you unscrew it, and you like put your tears in there, and unscrew it, and I could see you carrying around tears.
That would
Like,
be cool.
give it to people at random times. Have this little, yeah, screw top, put a pin through it, you know.
That's a great idea.
That'd be amazing.
Dude,
All right, we
let's do
depart.
it.
We fly.
Let me see. Let me see what we have here. It's beautiful. Undefinable. Collaboration.